All right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kalpala Yahweh Yahushai, Bashan Kakadash, double honor to the elder apostle of Great Milton, Woo Will, and spirit I taking the oxen and put in the truth, across the four corners of the earth, to the fear and power of Yahweh Yahushai, that the hope will let, and who the world inwardly called God is named Yahweh, and who the world inwardly called Jesus Christ is named Yahweh Shai. Or the Hebrew Israelite that consists of the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Indian, and those who lie in the descendants go back to one of the 12 tribes of Israel due to the scattering amongst the nation. All right, now it's an article in Wall Street Journal. All right. Like, all right, talk about Russia. All right, Ezekiel 38. All right, that we're in a time of rumors of war. All right, prophecy. All right. At the end of the day, it's all about the prophecy being fulfilled. All right, speaking of these things to come to pass. All right, which is World War III. All right, the war, the build up to World War III. All right, the Armageddon, which is the mountain of truth in the Hebrew, Hamagon one. All right, which will be in the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, which in the Hebrew, Yahweh Chapat would mean how we're going to judge the nation. All right, and that could be in the Middle East area. Okay, so all these things that's building up, Russia and Ukraine and stuff, those are leading up to World War III and stuff. But the main focus point of the war, it could be in the Middle East. All right, in the valley of Yahweh Chapat. Okay. But his article is Russia confront Ukraine with upgraded military rebuilt after Soviet collapse. Okay. Vladimir Putin had largely transformed the country, forces left depleted and demoralized after the breakup of the USSR as part of his goal to reassert Russia on the world stage. And he had done that. All right. And I did this video, what was it, last week or a couple weeks ago, concerning Russia. All right. I believe this one is it. Yep. Back on January 21st, U.S. believed Putin wanted to restore Soviet Union. All right. And that matched up with Ezekiel 38 and 4. And I will turn these back. All right. We're going to get that in a minute too. But in this video, I went more in detail about Iran coming back. I mean, like Russia coming back, how they used to be back in the Soviet Union days. All right. So it said, when the Soviet Union collapsed in the early 1990s, an elite military deployer one called the Dying Barrier. Jump down. Now we can read that. All right. It's a pretty long article, but the main point, top. It said when the Soviet collapsed in the early 1990s, an elite military supplier one called the Dying Barrier number 52, known for making ICBM, fell on hard time. Military spending had dropped so sharply that the company was forced to make civilian products such as railway timetable board. A problem were typical of Russia depleted armed forces. Conscription had stopped in some places. Desertions were on the rise, and some officers were homeless as the government struggled to pay them. Military hardware was left to rot or strip for parts. Funding for new weapon design and technology was drained. In the more than 2 decades since Vladimir Putin came to power, that have been transformed. Today, Russian fighting forces include a large, well-trained class of soldiers, hypersonic strategic missiles, and anti-aircraft missile system that can detect stealth aircraft. The situation had turned around. President Putin told journalists in December 2020 Russia had one of the most efficient armies in the world. It is the new military that Ukraine will face if the buildup of more than 100,000 Russian troops on the country's shared border lead to an invasion. Something the U.S. and the NATO say could occur in coming weeks. Moscow says it doesn't plan to invade the former Soviet republic. Alright? That a revamped military is a critical tool in Mr. Putin's effort to return from the humiliation of the Soviet collapse and reassert Russia on the world stage. Right, because this is how about China doing this, man. He's putting it on the mind of Putin to come back to how they used to be. Alright? Daniel 4:17. It's mattered by the decree of the watcher and the demand with the prophet and the demand of the word by the word of the Holy One, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whosoever he will, and set it up over it the basis of men. But the point is that he set it up, these guys, these men, to rule, all right, in these countries, all right. King Heart, I forgot how the scripture goes. Here it is. Proverbs 21:1, the king's heart, which is the mind, is in the hand of the Lord Shai. At the river of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So he's the one that got in Putin's mind to do these things, to turn Russia around, all right, to reassert itself, all right, as a world player, all right. It's the revamped military is a critical tool in Mr. Putin's effort to return from the humiliation of the Soviet collapse and reassert Russia on the world stage. It has allowed Moscow to wield influence in the Middle East, in Africa, and maintain the Kremlin's sway in what it regards as Moscow's sphere of influence over former Soviet republics. All right. It has properties, okay? It says be a guard unto them and let the country or any part in the Middle East and in Africa. Let's go with this screen, man. Alright, there we go. I'll jump down. It said in 2006, the Russian leader said that not a single new ship had been built between 1996 and 2000. That's 14 years. Troops carry out military exercises on maps. The Navy never left the docks, and the Air Force never got to fly, he told the country's Federal Assembly. The shortcomings were evident in 1999 when Moscow launched a campaign against separatist Islamic forces in Chechnya. The military needed at least 55,000 soldiers to put it down. Mr. Putin told the assembly, but there were only 55,000 combat-ready troops in the entire army of 1.4 million servicemen. He said it took the Russian military 5.5 years to crush the rebellion. All right. It said Mr. Putin reduce the number of divisions, and improve training for conscript and professional soldiers, including equipping bases with swimming pools, gyms, obstacle courses, shooting ranges, everything that a real soldier needs, according to Oleg Matachev, a professor at the state-run Financial University in Moscow and co-author of a 2019 report by a group of Russian scholars assessing Mr. Putin's leadership. Under a plan introduced in 2008, Russia made investment into nuclear weaponry and aerospace technologies, area Mr. Putin set out as primary objective, with state coffers bolstered by income from soaring oil prices, paid for service personnel increase, and military education focused more on science and technology. More soldiers were recruited to join the military as a profession, and the nation compulsory military service was reduced to 1 year from 2. All right. There's more, but that was the main point and gist of everything that this article is headed to. You know, showing that the Lord is having it on Russia and Vladimir Putin to do these things. All right, to gear up a war. All right, to turn the country around to be a major player in its prophecy. All right, to come to pass, soon to come to pass. All right, let's go back to Ezekiel 38. And one, and the word of the Lord, Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy faith against God, the land of Magog, the chief prince, which is Russia area, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesied against him. All right, and that's what we're doing. All right, because the prophet of old prophesied against what? That Amos. I got a couple more minutes left on this lunch break. Amos 8. No. Jeremiah 28:8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and pestilences. And that's what we're doing. All right, we're prophesying these things to happen. All right. This is back in Ezekiel 38. And 3, and stay thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I am against thee, O God, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back. All right, and it's talking about Russia. We was reading about in this article. All right, being rebuilding. All right, it's that and I will turn thee back. And in that video, I went into those words, turning back and the meaning of those words, so you can check this video out. I'll put the link in the description box. And put hook into thy jaw, and I will bring thee forth. All right, so how much I'll try doing these things. All right, gathering the troop together, muttering up the battle. All right, doing all these things to get ready. All right. It's all for prophecy sake, all right, and the judgment of the Lord, okay? And I'll bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with buckler and shield, all right? All of them handling swords, so their weaponry, all right, their vehicles. They had Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets, okay? Gomer and all his band, the house of Togarmah of the north quarter, and all his band, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company, that are a symbol unto thee and be a guard unto them. All right, and read about that in an article, how it's influenced the Middle East and Africa. All right, which is all property. All right, now Russia and all these countries, Russia and these other countries are linking up with with Russia. All right, so the Lord how much outside is moving these chess pieces off of property states. Okay, so with that, let me say shalom.